In our commercial distribution known as Oracle GlassFish Server, we offer additional features above and beyond what is available in the Community Edition. Similar to the Open Source Edition, Oracle GlassFish Server is available as both a full and web profile version. Premium support and patching is available along with a suite of tools and features that improves manageability in production deployments. This suite of tools is known as GlassFish Server Control and is bundled and integrated with Oracle GlassFish Server. GlassFish Server Control was formerly known as Sun GlassFish Enterprise Manager. It has some of the same features as Enterprise Manager, along with some cool new stuff. I would like to highlight some important features that are part of GlassFish Server Control and then provide a short demo of a few of these features. Domain Backup and Recovery enables scheduled, automated backups of a live domain server. Next, the Performance Tuner can offer a huge performance improvement over the out-of-the-box configuration. You provide specific information about your deployment environment, and the tuner presents a list of recommended tuning parameters that can then be automatically applied. For improved monitoring, we have Monitoring Scripting Client, which enables custom monitoring scripts using fine-grained probes. Active Cache for GlassFish provides a high available, robust replacement for in-memory replication. Active Cache is provided through Coherence Web, and this feature will be available the first half of this year. Coherence is an Oracle product that provides data scalability, availability, reliability, and performance to in-memory session management and storage. You can find additional information about Coherence at oracle.com. Also included in GlassFish Server is integration with Oracle Access Manager, which enables single sign-on of applications and services. We also perform extensive interoperability testing of Oracle GlassFish Server with other Fusion middleware products. And finally, we offer a load balancer plugin for balancing load across cluster instances and smart failover on instance failure. So now let's jump to a few quick demos. The first feature I would like to demonstrate is the Monitoring Scripting Client. You can use Monitoring Scripting Client to write clients in the JavaScript programming language to provide monitoring data about Oracle GlassFish Server. While Monitoring Scripting Client is not new to 3.1, its support for clustering is. In v3, there were several administrative steps required to enable this feature. Those steps are no longer required in 3.1. So to begin, we have a 2-instance cluster set up and running on this host. So we have I1 and I2, which is instance 1 and instance 2, up and running. Let's enable monitoring for the HTTP service. By default, monitoring is disabled in the product. So we're targeting cluster 1, C1, and the module that we're enabling monitoring for is the HTTP service. I have created a simple JavaScript client to monitor when an HTTP request has been received by the web container. In the script, we are listening for the request start event, which is sent whenever an HTTP request has been received by the web container and is about to be dispatched. We can use the list probes ASAdmin subcommand to see the available probes. And in this case, I'm going to limit it to just the HTTP service probes. And there's just a couple, one for the end event, one for the start event. We can also get details on a specific probe. There's the details sub-option here, and we specify the specific probe, and we get a man page for that specific probe. So let's now run the monitoring script on the cluster. We use the run script subcommand for that. Again, targeting first the C1, our cluster, and we're going to use the JavaScript that we were just looking at. So that's now listening. And over here, I'm going to do a wget. I'm going to ping one of our web services, or our HTTP service, listening on 28080 port. As you see on the other side here, the monitoring script went ahead and recorded that the start event occurred. And we can do that a couple times. We can also do the other instance, which is listening on 28081. That's our instance 2. We do that a couple times. So both instances have the probes activated. So as you can see, the listener in the JavaScript is invoked and prints a message each time the service is accessed. Combining the monitoring probes with JavaScript provides a powerful interface to tailor the monitoring of your GlassFish deployment to your specific needs. Another new feature included with Oracle GlassFish Control is scheduled automatic backups of the domain on a live server. So let's bring up the console. We'll go ahead and click on Domain. There's a new Backup tab. In GlassFish v2, you can perform a manual backup when the domain was halted. Now you can schedule backups to be performed on a running domain. And you can configure this all through the console. I'm going to demonstrate this functionally on the console, but we also have subcommands in ASAdmin that can be used to perform similar operations. So clicking on the Backup tab, there are two subtabs, Backup Configurations, and there are none by default, and Schedules. And we deliver the product with 3 default schedules, daily, monthly, and weekly. In this case, let's create a new schedule. So let's do a twice a month schedule. Twice a month is what we'll call this. And let me just scroll this up a bit so we can see almost everything. We're going to change the day of the month from being all to the first of the month, and let's say the 16th. And let's set the hour to be 1 a.m. Okay, and then we can go ahead and save the schedule. So now we have the twice a month schedule. Now right now the schedule by itself doesn't do anything, but we can associate it with a backup configuration. So let's go ahead and create a new backup configuration. And let's call this one, say, domain 1, and we'll do a full backup. We'll call it D1 full. And we'll go ahead and select that new schedule twice a month, and we have it enabled by default. And let's pick a location for the backups to be stored. In this case, we'll just use /temp as backups. And there's a recycle limit. So let's say we only want to keep 12 backups. When we hit the recycle limit, older backups will be deleted. And then this is going to be a full backup. We also support configuration-only backups. So we'll go ahead and save that configuration. So there we go. So now we have a full backup being performed twice a month on our domain. And we'll maintain 12 of those. So let's create another one. Let's do a configuration only. Maybe we want backup or configuration on a daily basis. So we'll go ahead and call this one domain1-config. We'll use the daily schedule. We want this enabled by default. We'll also store the backups in the same location. So temp as backups. And in this case, we'll go ahead and keep 25. And we'll change this to be configuration only. We'll go ahead and save that. So what we have here now are 2 backups that have been enabled. One that's occurring daily that backs up only the configuration of the domain. The second one occurs twice a month, and this performs a full backup. They're both stored in the same location, and they have each have their own recycle limits, or in terms of when they will start deleting older backups. One's for configuration only, and one is for everything. So using the CLI, we can list some of the backups that were previously created. To do that, we use the list backups subcommand. In this case, we're specifying the backup dir as /temp as backups because that's where we configured the backups to be maintained. As you can see, we got backups for D1 config, which is our configuration only backups, as well as D1-full, which were full backups, which is essentially everything in the domain directory, both deployed apps and the configuration. To safely restore a domain, we should stop the domain, but in this case, I will restore the domain to an alternate directory that I can point the DAS to later when I restart. So we use the restore domain command to restore a domain. So we're going to, in this case, point to where our backups are stored, which is this temp DAS backups. We're specifying the specific backup config that we're using, in which case we're just going to restore the D1 config. I'm specifying an alternate domain directory because I don't want to overwrite the domain directory that I'm using in this domain, and the name of the domain that we're restoring, domain 1. So I go ahead and run that, and that restores that domain, or restores the domain bits into that directory. That's a quick overview of the domain backup and recovery functionality available in the Oracle GlassFish server.